As one of the largest ships in Star Citizen, there is a lot to see on the Polaris, and that's exactly what this video will aim to show in just over 20 minutes. I'm Forrester, and welcome to the Polaris. And we'll start our ship tour by approaching from the left or port side. From the little person underneath it, the Polaris's size immediately becomes obvious. There are a few different ways aboard the Polaris, but for this we'll enter via the elevator, which is located on the starboard side of the fore section. Sadly, it's very difficult to actually find the button. There is a physical button up on the top, but obviously we little people can't reach that, so you have to be stood in exactly the right place to be able to find the interaction button. It's a little bit awkward. But there it is. This is in patch 4.0. Fingers crossed things might improve in future patches. Waiting for elevators is a bit of a common pastime for those that crew a Polaris, so this is going to get you right used to using this ship. This elevator in the front section of the Polaris can either take you to the bridge or the cargo bay. Technically, the Polaris has a lot of decks. Realistically, it has 2 decks, an upper and a lower deck. We're going to head up into the lower deck to begin with. And the elevator spits us out into this small corridor. Turning right is turning towards the front of the ship, so we'll walk this way. This room includes a fire control system for the torpedoes and a station for engineering. The engineering station doesn't currently work in patch 4.0. The torpedo station does, however. Further forward towards the front of the Polaris, we enter into a front section with a fire extinguisher, a set of fuses in a relay station, and right at the front is the largest turret on board the ship. Moving further back on the lower deck, we'll walk back through the torpedo room, back through that lift access, and we enter into the cargo bay. At the top of the cargo bay, there is these 4 torpedoes, which are very cool looking loading stations for the torpedo armament. There is a large lift which could be used for moving torpedoes up to this station from the rest of the cargo bay. Can also be used to move down. There are also stairs if you prefer not to ride the lift. On either side of those stairs is a relay station and a fire extinguisher. On each side of this Polaris lower deck is a very large door. Opening the door reveals a large ramp. This is particularly helpful for getting vehicles, ground vehicles, on and off the ship. This is another entry point into the Polaris if you prefer not to wait for the elevator and would rather prefer to wait for a ramp. There is a tractor beam station on the starboard side. The tractor beam is located on the roof of the cargo bay and can be useful for moving boxes around. The total cargo capacity of this bay is 576 SCUs. And the tractor beam is visible just on the top there. On either side of the cargo bay is a ladder room. This has access to a ladder which takes you to the upper deck just on the front of the hangar. ladders replicated on both sides. Additionally, there are these cargo lifts. These will take cargo straight from the cargo bay all the way up to the hangar bay itself. Moving further back through the ship on this lower deck, we enter into the engineering session. Underneath, everything is submerged in this kind of watery liquid. Very cool looking. The walkway splits into two sections, left and right. Both are mirrored, so they're identical. There's some additional relay fuses and some stations for engineer access. They don't currently do anything in-game. Moving further back, there's an even lower walkway which can be accessed via a ladder. This just helps to give some visibility of the watery submersion happening below. And right at the back is a small elevator. There are three settings for this elevator. There's the cargo bay, engineering and the hangar. Cargo bay is the lowest area where we just were, and we'll go up to the engineering section. This is a sort of mid-deck. It's hard to explain, but the engineer has a sort of mezzanine here with a glass view over of the rest of the engineering and a terminal which doesn't currently operate. Further back, slightly up from the mezzanine, there's some more relays, some decorative elements, and then right at the back, the gravity generator is visible, as well as component access for the jump drive. Interestingly, the decoration of this section makes it seem like perhaps it used to be a turret access. And then on either side of this mezzanine are stairs up to the top deck of the Polaris. Right at the back here is the elevator. That's the same one that took us up to the engineer mezzanine. And then right at the front here is the hangar. This hangar is obviously gargantuan. There's plenty of space for all manner of ships aboard, including a range of fighters and potentially up to a vulture. On the wall is a switch to open the hangar bay doors. The animation looks great. Off to the side of each side of the hangar is a fuel storage tank. Doesn't currently do anything, but perhaps signalling for the future. And here are the cargo elevators that bring anything up or down from the cargo bay. As the lift comes up, these little protective barriers fold into the floor. Very cool. You may also have noticed there are 4 doors on each of the middle sections of the hangar wall that allows you to quickly use the hangar to traverse in or out of, depending on where you want to go. We'll go back out of the back of the hangar the same way we came in. There are some decorative elements on the walls. And then on the port side of the ship is the medical bay. There's a very cool little desk for whoever the chief medical officer might be. And then on either side are these 2 rooms, each with 2 little beds. At this point, I'd like to talk about the lighting on board the ship. You can see here there is some personal storage access within this room, but unfortunately it's right by the light switch, which can make it very difficult to actually press the buttons sometimes. A little bit of UI design may be needed. Coming to the second room, it's a little bit easier to catch them here. There are essentially three states, which is common across a lot of ships. There's the auxiliary state, the emergency state, and the regular on. And this can be set per room. Moving further forward on the port side of the ship, next to the hangar there are two emergency escape pods. And access to one of the side turrets aboard. Obviously this is the port side turret. And then on the front of the hangar on the port side is a docking collar. Because 4.0 is struggling slightly, I've cut out the footage of waiting for this door to open. But this is the docking collar on the port side of the Polaris. There is one on either side which can be used to dock to a station. Within this docking collar is some RSI logos, some decorative elements, and just the physical door for the docking port itself. These are airlock doors. There's a door on the outside and a door on the inside. Moving up the stairs, we're now at the front of the hangar section. On either side is a ladder room. This is the ladder that came up from the cargo bay down below. There's also a door which will go to the mess hall. We'll come to that shortly. There's the large hangar door, a door to the habitation, another ladder room, and then another docking collar access. On the starboard side of the front of the hangar is weapons access for another turret, another two emergency escape pods, and then we get to the full starboard side of the hangar. There's the hangar door. Instead of being a medical bay, this side has a brig. A similar layout with the desk at the front, and interestingly some cameras to see inside at what those naughty prisoners are doing. There's a cell on either side which is actually quite luxurious. I'm not entirely sure these have a purpose in-game right now, but they certainly add to the feel of the ship. Moving back to the front of the hangar bay, we can see the habitation access. And the mess hall. We'll step into the mess hall. Immediately upon entry, there's a small recessed area with a TV watching station. Very comfortable. Some more relay fuses. And some seating. There's a nice communal area for playing a bit of chess. And a kitchen area. The second door in the habitation area leads onto the main corridor of the upper deck. The door at the back of the corridor, after you've gone past the windows to look in the mess hall, goes back to the hangar area. On the opposite side to the mess hall is the crew quarters. It looks very nice in here. Each of the crew bunks is separated out into a small pod with a couple of bunks in it, as well as personal storage, a small seating area, and an enclosed toilet. By default, the toilet is hidden away in this little RSI blue area, but with a touch of a button can be deployed. The Polaris carries a lot of these kind of self-contained pods, and they feel quite cozy and separated out from everything else. The only slightly strange thing is all of the angles in this room makes it feel a bit more cramped, with everything kind of angling into the top of the room. It's an unusual one. And then the back door of this area leads to the front of the hangar area. So moving further forward through the Polaris top deck across this main access corridor, at the end of this corridor are two doors. Each of these doors leads to the two top turrets of the Polaris. These are some of the most useful turrets aboard the ship, so having them fairly accessible behind the bridge seems sensible. Moving further forward, there's a relay station and a captain's quarters. The captain's quarters has a lot of storage and a desk. There's a weapons rack in the corner and a small seating area to the front. I quite like the way that this is designed. Off to the side is the captain's living space, but it's separated out from the rest of the room from the ordinary business of the day. There's an armour closet, a personal storage locker, and a bed for the captain. There's also, similarly to the crew bunks, a small toilet area. This one hasn't got quite so much RSI blue trim in it. It feels a little bit more premium perhaps. Enjoying the lighting controls in this room shows the different states. This is the auxiliary state and the emergency state. And back to normal. Moving further forward on this main corridor is the main elevator access. That's where we came into the Polaris. We opted not to come up to this level and instead went down to the lower decks. Across from that is the Armoury. This has got lots of storage space for weapons of different sizes, as well as a range of suit lockers. There's also a seating area in the Armoury, in case you want to look at your stuff, I guess. Having the Armoury here does make some sense. It's right across from that main elevator for getting in and out of the ship, so it allows you to take on or take off various bits. In front of this section is a series of escape pods. And further forward, right at the front of the ship, we get to the bridge. At the back there's an area for a sort of star map. It doesn't currently do anything in game, but there's also some component access bins here. And that's mirrored on the opposite side. And then going down a little bit into the main bridge section, there are 5 seats available. A captain's seat in the centre, a pilot seat on the front left, a co-pilot on the front right, and on the rear are some support seats. The rear left operates a missile turret, and the rear right operates a turret beneath the back of the ship. This is the pilot's chair at the front. But hopping into the co-pilot's chair, there's one more neat little feature. The co-pilot has access to some buttons which can open different doors on the ship, including the Hangar Bay door, without having to go rearwards to the hangar. Very cool. For those interested in seeing a review of the ship, there will be one published on the channel just a few days after this tour, so make sure you're subscribed for that. Otherwise, I'll be interested to know your thoughts on the Polaris in the video comments. I'm expecting a few strong opinions. But otherwise, and as always, thank you for watching.